Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look again at the Catch Cup and we're going to have a fun team here right now. I built a Swiper I got at the Go Fest in London, which is shiny, which is kind of funny. I built a 100% Obstagoon so I can maybe use it eventually in the Master League for beating down those Giratinas and Mewtwo's. And we're also going to have our Moltres here. The Moltres Galarian form is one of the Pokemon that I caught, or like the Pokemon that I caught with my Master Ball, because honestly, I encountered so many of those birds already and none of them stayed in with a normal ball, so I was forced to use my Master Ball onto this Pokemon. But honestly, was it worth it? Most likely not. You see the IV spread on the side, of course, completely horrible. But what I have to say about this team is something that I couldn't say about any of the teams prior or like any of my recent videos. I got insanely lucky a lot of times with like boost. We have Night Slash here and we have Ancient Power, and I got the boost basically nearly every game. It was wild. Like usually I'm super unlucky with that stuff, but you see already I got the boost so often, which is kind of funny and very good for the video, I would say, because I definitely wouldn't have won as many battles as I did with this team without all the luck that I had. And like this kind of shows me, of course, again, how luck dependent those teams kinda are that rely on something like boost. But here we're going to have a horrible lead against us. Someone has actually a shiny Jellicent from the season, which is kinda wild. But in comes now the dub wall, and we are not really, okay, we're actually messing around. We're gonna go for the Ancient Power first, and I expect the opponent to have Wild Charge. Does make sense right now because there is Poliwrath as well as the Greninja around right now. But they're actually going for the Body Slam, which is kind of okay for me. I can go ahead and go for another Ancient Power now. And I have two Ancient Powers stored right now, so it's going to be the safe play here. I can go for one. Going to get not a boost here, but at least I'm going to be able to get a shield here or the knockout. Let's see. We're going to get the shield, and we still don't get a boost here. But it's totally okay. We can shield this move up, and we can realign, which is definitely better for me. Because I don't want to have the Jellicent aligned against my Swiper, as the opponent swaps out anyway. And here's something that I didn't really know before. The Swiper is insanely squishy, like insanely squishy. This Pokemon cannot take a hit really, but same goes for the Hexters. And yeah, we're gonna be able to at least still go for a Poison Fang against the opponent here, but they're definitely not going to shield this one up. And now we're going to have still our Moltres as well as the as well as the Obstagoon against the opponent here. And honestly, it was most likely a mistake to go into my Moltres first, because now the opponent has an insane amount of energy here right now. And as you're going to see right now, the opponent going to spam me with the Surf. And with here it kind of shows why IVs kind of matter. Usually you would be able to survive this one, but I'm fairly certain that the opponent's Jellicent most likely don't have the perfect IVs because it's a shiny, as well as my Obstagoon is a 100% variant. So we were not able to take the moves, which I think we should have done usually with normal movesets and normal IV spreads and whatever, but it's totally fine as you're going to encounter Greninja in the lead. Greninja in the lead is actually totally okay for me because I will be able to win this. I have to invest one more shield than the opponent, but I can just farm him down after this one, which is totally fine, and I can realign my Pokemon. As the opponent going to swap out into a Tentacruel. This is not ideal. Speaking of, by the way, buffs and something like this, I don't think I got a single debuff with Crunch, which was kind of wild, so like, I guess if I get boosted with my own moves, I don't get the debuffs. But like I didn't get a single debuff with Crunch all the way through, even though I used it several times. It's a 30% chance, which is kind of wild. But still, we're going to be able to farm them all the way down here, at least, as they're still going to get to another charge move, which is going to be another Acid Spray. So sadly, we're still locked into this matchup, but the Greninja comes back in, and I can go ahead and go for one Ancient Power, which will be able to get the knockout. Doesn't get the boost, but we're gonna see now the Credilli coming in. I can go for another Ancient Power right now against the opponent, which will force a shield actually, and still doesn't get the boost. So already a ton of Ancient Powers down, no boost so far, but we can at least go ahead and align our Obstagoon here, and this is going to be a good game. Like there's nothing that they can do. Cross chop here is definitely something that you need to have on this Pokemon for the current meta, at least, that you have in the Catch Cup. There are a ton of Bastions, and you really want to get the damage output done here. So let's take a look at the next opponent coming through here right now. We're going to take this win, of course, as you're going to see the opponent having the Victory Bell in the lead. So many Shadow Victory Bell. It is wild. Like, people are crazy. We're going to encounter here the Galarian Stunfisk, but if the opponent has a Galarian Stunfisk in the back as a safe swap with a Victory Bell in the lead, the likelihood of them having the Bastion in the back is fairly high, so you're going to see me play this a little bit differently. You see me, for example, here using a shield against the opponent, as I will be able to go for a CMP tie Night Slash here, and I'm going to get the knockout, but what I'm going to do here as well, I'm going to go for my own Night Slash right now, and what I'm going to try to do at least, is I'm going to try to swap out eventually here and keep my Obstagoon alive, mainly just because I predicted they're going to have the Bastion in the back, and they do have the Bastion in the back, and they can catch the Poison Fang, which looks like, of course, a little bit silly now, but it's not that bad because they, of course, get the debuff onto the opponent's defense, which is going to help us out quite a bit. And if I was the opponent, I would go ahead and let the next cross chop go through, because I know that they have the Victory Bell in the back and you need a shield for the Victory Bell. So I'm banking basically here for them letting this move go through, and they do let this move go through. But I also didn't expect that they would go for some fast moves first. So I could have went for one counter first and then go for the charge move, which would have been way better for me, in hindsight of course. But now I have to rely onto my Moltres here. Can Moltres win me the game? I will go ahead and go for the full Fountain, but they can still go for a charge move. And our Moltres, of course, especially with those IVs, is very squishy, but not squishy enough to get knocked out by a Leaf Blade there, and we can knock out the opponent's Bastion with a wing attack, which is something that you rarely see. Broguiere in the lead. This is actually a fairly decent lead for us. You can, by the way, use any other poison type in the lead as well, kinda. This was just the only one that I really saw that I was like, yeah, okay, maybe I build this one. If you have a Golbat or something like this floating around, is way better than the Swiper. If you have, I don't know, like a Nidoqueen, if you want to build one of those, that's totally fine as well. But definitely this team can work out fairly well. Definitely a balanced one, as we're going to get a boost, which I don't care about at all, because I'm going to let this move go through anyway, as I can go ahead and go back into my Swiper. I just want to get rid of the Obstagoon, as you know that they have the Poliwrath or counter, they're still lurking around. I will be able to take this Grass Knot from the opponent, and we will see right now that they're going to go back into the Poliwrath. Poliwrath here going to not appreciate the Poison Fang at all, as it's going to drop the defense, and I will be able to go for another one to maybe even force a shield from the opponent, as we will now see that they're still having to throw against me, which is fine. I'm going to let this move go through, and I hope that I can win this game just with my Moltres alone, as they're going to have a Credilli in the back. And you see me here letting this Rock Slide go through, because I'm forced to go for the Brave Bird here. And I'm forced to, basically the opponent has anyway a shield or not a shield, like a ton of energy on their Poliwrath. So I'm kind of forced to shield this next move up here anyway. And it is not really ideal. My only real win con here right now is to go for the Ancient Power straight away, which I didn't, and hope for the boost. But like, this was a mistake by me. I should have went straight for the Ancient Power, hope that I get the defense buff for it and the attack buff for it, and then I had a chance of winning this game. But definitely bad for me. Here I was hoping that the opponent swaps out just because, for whatever reason, and they did. So thanks for that, man. You could have just stayed in and completely hardwalled me. Like, steel types in the lead are very tough for this team to deal with, of course, but I don't really have the Pokemon to build a balanced team for this cup right now. But what I can build is some boost here onto my Moltres. With the Ancient Power, going to be able to get the knockout actually here still, as the opponent was too greedy with their Haxorus, and I will be able to get the knockout here against them thanks to the boost as well. But now we have to deal with the Galarian Stunfisk, as I'm going to have to now go into my Swiper against the Ninetales, and thankfully Moltres was able to flip switch there, was able to knock them out, and we will now be able to align our Pokemon perfectly, as we can let this move go through. But it's still not over, because they're actually going to put me into perfect farm down range, which can be a little bit scary, especially as we're going to have a 100% variant of the Obstagoon and not an IV variant, which is like having low attack, so it has more bulk. So we're going to take more damage, but we're also going to deal more damage, as this cross chop going to put them into range for another cross chop, and this is going to be game over, as our Obstagoon will be able to sweep the Galarian Stunfisk from the opponent. Next opponent coming up, we're going to have the Trevenant against us. Great for our backline, not so good for our lead, but we will be able to just stay in here, and we see that the opponent swaps out, I think, into a double right now. So I'm going to stay in here actually, as I will be able to take one move, at least I thought, unless it's going to be the Wild Charge, which it is not, luckily. So we can go for a Poison Fang right now. We have still our backline, which can definitely deal with the Trevenant. And they're going to let this move go through, allowing me to swap out here right now, because I can align my Pokemon anyway perfectly. And it's going to be the Trevenant coming back in. We have our Moltres, we can let this move go through. Most likely a Shadow Ball from the opponent, which still does a lot of damage, as you can see. But this was definitely the right call to let this move go through, as we're going to see now a Galarian Stunfisk coming in. And of course, we have the perfect Core Breaker in the back with this. We're going to have our Obstagoon, which can go for counter, can go for cross chop, can just knock them out, use all the shields here, and the opponent decides, yeah, it's enough. They know already that this game is over. So I'm just going to counter them down at this point of time, as they already gave up there. I guess they might want to do some quests or whatever, and that's why they didn't quit, but next time you can just quit out of here, because this game is over, and we're gonna get the boost, which is completely unnecessary again. Like, honestly, we always got like the attack buff where it literally doesn't matter at the end of the game, where it literally makes zero difference anymore, but hey, at least you're gonna get the boost finally. Before, we never got the boost anyway. So here we're going to now encounter the opponent's Hexorus, going for the Dragon Tail variant again here, which is an interesting play. I think Counter is still better than Dragon Tail. But we will see now the Poliwrath coming in, and we are not going to mess around. We're gonna go straight for the Brave Bird. And we can say goodbye to the Poliwrath, as they didn't expect this, and we will be able to even reach another charge move. No, we are not. And I'm going to sacrifice, I think, my... no, actually, I'm not going to sacrifice anything. I'm going to go into my Obstagoon, and I didn't get the fast move in because the game lagged. Thanks for this. I would have been able to avoid one Dragon Tail there. But at least I'm going to be able to still encounter this Cradilly, which is going to not appreciate the matchup against the Obstagoon, as we do super effective damage with cross chop as well as counter. So this is going to be nice for us, as you're going to be able to now swap out into the Swiper. I know that I win the CMP tile against them, so I will just go ahead, go for the Poison Fang, get them a little bit lower, and now I can go even for a Night Slash in order to knock them out, as there is nothing they can do anymore. This Night Slash, maybe it gets another boost where it doesn't matter at all. Let's see. Oh, we sadly don't get the boost at the end of a game, but let's take a look at the next one coming up. Lantern in the lead. This is totally fine for us, because we don't want to face this Pokemon with our Moltres in the back. Of course, Galarian Moltres will not like this matchup at all. We don't really have a way of hitting the opponent with this Pokemon, so we are gonna go ahead, go for the Poison Fang, and we're going to force the opponent to most likely swap out eventually. But I'm going to shield this move up here, because I do so much damage with my fast move already. The opponent going to swap now into the Galarian Stunfisk. I can go ahead and go into my Obstagoon. Because I don't want to get hit by the opponent's Earthquake, I'm actually going to use a shield against them here right now, as there is no reason for them to go for the Rock Slide. And yeah, as you see, they went for the Earthquake. I can go up by 5 fast moves now. We see some lag coming in as well. But maybe they want to shield this move up just so they can get some damage onto me, and they do want to do exactly that, as we will see the next Earthquake coming through. We will be able to get the full farm down, and we have a move start right now, which is fine, as they're going to have a Noctowl in the back. This is awkward. I'm going to now go ahead and stay in here and give them some farm, because I have to kind of go into my Swiper against the opponent's Lantern. But this game is really looking rough right now. We can actually take one move here, which is cool. I can go for the Ancient Power right now, which is cool. Let's see if we're going to get another boost here with the Moltres. We do get another boost here, which will allow us to take this next Sky Attack a little bit better. But of course, I expected the opponent actually to swap out. That's why I swapped out here, but they didn't. But it didn't really matter anyway, because there was no way of me winning this game at this point of time, and this is going to be a good game. Final game for today's video. So if you made it to this point, feel free to leave a like. Thanks all for the support and watching the video that long. So we will see here right now the double against us. Let's see what they're going to go for. We're going to be able to go for the Poison Fang against the opponent to get the debuff onto their defense, and we will get them very low, as I'm going to use another shield as I force the opponent to either give me the realignment here, which I definitely gladly take, especially against the Drifblim. But yeah, or I would have been able to get like the shield or whatever, so it was totally fine to shield this move up. Of course, they're gonna go for the Icy Wind, which will be able to debuff our attack, but not for long, because we will be able to go for another Night Slash here, and if I already said it, I already spoiled here anyway. This is going to get the boost, which is very important. Again, I got a ton of boost with this team here, which was definitely over the odds. Usually I'm so far below the odds, so I definitely take this one here, as we're going to be able to go ahead and go for the knockout against the opponent. Night Slash comes through, and we see now the opponent's Ninetales coming in, which is going to be an interesting matchup here. They're going to go for the Weather Ball before I can go for a charge move, but maybe you can get another boost with our Moltres here. We will find out shortly. I will be able to take a Weather Ball from them, so we can now go ahead, go for the super effective Ancient Power against them. Do they shield this move up? They do. And we will not get another boost here, but it's totally okay, as we see now the opponent swapping into the Dub Ball. I have a move stored, and I'm fairly certain that the Ancient Power is all it takes to knock out the opponent's Ninetales, so this is going to be a very good game here, and that's going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like. Check out the video on the screen here right now, and we're gonna get a completely unnecessary boost at the end of the game as well, and see you then. Bye bye.